Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this FlaskUp.com Mr. Pandaria raiding guide. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the heroic mode version of Norushen in the Siege of Orgrimmar raid. Now in order to complete this fight, you're going to want to bring 2 tanks, 2 healers mainly because of DPS constraints, and then the remaining can be a mixture of both melee and ranged DPS. It doesn't really matter which ones you bring. Now, this fight is very similar to the normal mode. In fact, it's pretty much identical to the normal mode version of the encounter. So if you don't have a good understanding of the normal mode abilities, then I recommend you head on over to FlaskUp.com or click on the link in the video description below in order to view our normal mode guide. And as this is a heroic encounter, you should assume that any abilities that have been carried over from normal mode will deal significantly more damage. What you'll probably also notice closer to the end of the video is the mass healing requirements that are actually needed for this fight. And I think myself and who I was healing with at the time, the monk, I think we ended up being at like 200-240k HPS. So you do need to make sure you can heal very, very well in order to make through the damage that is being dealt at certain points during the encounter. Now, I've already mentioned that this fight is very, very, very similar to the normal mode version, and that's because there are absolutely no new abilities for the heroic fight. There were a few changes, but they got hotfixed and taken out for some stupid reason. I don't know why, but this fight is a lot easier than what it was, say, in the first week of Siege of Orgrimmar. So just go with it. The fight's fairly simple to do. The only difference you do have to note is that you will start the encounter with 75 corruption. Now, if you remember, the little corruption bar gives you specific benefits if you can keep your corruption at 0, and you also lose these benefits as your corruption increases. So if you're a DPS, you deal more damage to the amalgam of corruption. If you're a tank, you take less damage, and if you're a healer, you output more healing. It's fairly simple, really. You just need to, like I say, if you don't know what buffs you gain or what bonuses you gain, you kind of need to know, and I'm not going to go over them here because it's for the normal mode version of the fight. It's fairly simple stuff. So because this fight is pretty much the same as the normal mode fight, the only thing we're going to go over is the rotation for soaking the pools that spawn when you kill the big adds, and also how to, position yourselves correctly for certain aspects of the fight. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the positioning, and the main thing that you're going to need to be aware of is obviously the healing requirements and the fact that you will want to stay stacked up as much as you possibly can throughout this fight, which, if you think about it, is pretty much the entire fight, because there's only one ability that will cause you to move as a raid, and that's his kind of cutter ability, the blind hatred, which will cause you to move from one place to another in order to make sure you don't get hit by it. Just like in normal mode, this will kill you straight away if you do get hit by it. So what we did was we put a marker on someone, as you can see. I think we put it on both of the healers actually. And at the start fight, we all stacked up in front of the boss and waited for the blind hatred. And then when the blind hatred spawned, we simply waited for it to kind of get close to us. And then we've moved to the opposite side of the boss. So if we're at the front, we've moved to the back and then stack up again and keep on healing. We'd know where to stack up because we'd stack on the players that have got the marks on them, and stack in melee range where possible, so that the melee can also benefit from AoE healing abilities, such as your healing rains and your druid efflorescences. Very simple, really. No way you could possibly screw that up at all. It's very simple. And next we're just going to take a look at the rotation that we used for soaking the pools of corruption that spawn from the big adds. Now you need to remember that when your DPS players do kill off the big adds in their test realm, which is what they go to by clicking the orbs around the side of the room, that will spawn in the normal realm as well, and of course the pulsing damage that it deals will be significantly higher as this is heroic mode. Now what you probably have noticed is that several of these orbs that you click in order to go to the test realms have kind of been increased. So I think you've got 5 or 6 around the outside instead of 2 spawning incrementally throughout the fight. You don't want to use all of these at once, because if you get 3 DPS players going in at once, then you're going to end up wiping your raid due to the damage that the big adds are going to deal to everybody. It's just illogical. So what we did was set up a rotation for players to go in and out, and also to soak the pools that spawned. So to start off, we had tank number 1 and DPS number 1 go into the test realms when the fight started. They then complete their tests, which is, you know, the tanking and the DPS one, and during this time, the second tank would soak any pools that are spawned by the big ad. So you'd get one pool spawning from the DPS player killing the big ad in his test realm. Next, we'd send in one DPS player, and we decided that one of the healers wasn't going to go in at all, but the other healer would. Now the healer that isn't going to go in at all would soak this second pool of corruption that does spawn. So they will end up with 100 corruption, but it shouldn't matter too much, it shouldn't overly affect your raid. For the third pool, we sent in another DPS player, and then the second healer soaked that, which would then put them at 100 corruption. For the fourth pool, we sent in the DPS player, like another DPS player, and then the healer, which has just reached 100 corruption, so your second healer. And during this time, your first tank would soak, so this is going to be your tank that doesn't have any corruption on it at all. During this time, you also want your second tank to be going into the realm in order to drop all of his corruption as well for soaking the pools later on in the fight. For the fifth pool, we sent down another DPS player, and then during this time, the first tank was also still soaking it. Now at this point, it's just a matter of choosing which DPS players you want to send into the test realms in order to lose all their corruption, and who you want to kind of have set up as a soaking rotation. So we recommend you use your tanks and your healers to the best of their ability in order to soak the pools. So if you've got 2 tanks that have cleared the corruption, that's 8 soakings altogether. You've got 1 healer that's cleared all their corruption, that's another 4 soakings, so that's 12 soakings. And by that time, or before that time, you should be looking to kill the boss really. It shouldn't be going on much longer than that. If the fight is going on longer than that, then there's some form of a DPS issue, and you're probably not going to make the enrage timer on the boss anyway. So that's going to do it for this Mr. Pandaria raiding guide. It's a nice short and sweet one, I guess, because unfortunately this fight is pretty much the normal mode fight, just the corruption is a little bit higher when you do start. So thank you for watching, and if you would like to view any of our other heroic mode guides for this tier, then please do feel free to click on any of the annotations that are currently on screen now. And if you'd like to view any of our written guides, then please do head on over to flaskup.com. As always, thank you for watching, and if you are interested in future Mr. Pandaria raiding guides, then please do feel free to subscribe to the channel.